What have we learned today? We know that Donald Trump does not care about the financial well being of the average American. By closing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, he does not care that the predatory lenders and banks take advantage of the American people. He does not care that the people who worked hard their entire careers to afford their homes, in which they currently live, and the banks in which they have invested their money, fleece them of that hard earned money. He definitely does not care about whether other countries are suffering. By closing USAID, he is telling the rest of the world, whether they are US allies or not, that whatever they think of the United States is insignificant to them. USAID was built to sustain goodwill with other nations and to work strategically to gain the trust of other nations. Simultaneously, USAID also prevents the spread of HIV and other illnesses in parts of the world that have weaker healthcare systems in place than the United States, which I admit is difficult to imagine. The thousands of USAID employees trapped overseas with only 30 days to move back to the United States to homes they no longer own serves as further proof as to how little he cares about the welfare of his own people. Trump serves one and only one person, Donald Trump. We learn that the courts only stand in his way for a brief period before appellate judges, whom he appointed, pay him respect and prostrate themselves to his throne. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals had no problem twisting the U.S. Constitution into knots if it served Trump's purposes. Elon Musk had his marching orders, and whether the U.S. Senate was involved or not, or the American people had a chance to approve of his addition to a quid pro quo position within the Trumpanzee cabinet, makes absolutely no difference. Trump listens intently to every word Musk utters, simply because he is the world's wealthiest human being, speaking to a man who envies Musk and wants to be the world's wealthiest man. We learned that the freedom of the press is still part of the U.S. Constitution, for whatever that's worth. Voice of America is not back on the air, but internet radio stations exist and are thus far out of the reach of the Federal Communications Commission and its noodly appendages. Radio Marti is still broadcasting nonpartisan news to Cuba, but if one were to listen solely to Trump, one would never know that the freedom of the press is still a thing. Why is that, you ask? Well, the First Amendment is only valid if actual journalists are free to report without bias, without political partisan hacks deciding who gets to be a part of the White House press office and who does not, as had been the case for nearly a century. Donald Trump eliminated all the people from the press office that ask difficult questions and instead focus on simple ones such as, what does it mean to be a woman? In fact, that is a much more difficult question than one may initially assume, but that is a topic for another time. By keeping the Associated Press at a distance from the Oval Office, the American people are fed a steaming pile of dung and told the news being shared is page one information. You can call it whatever you want. The stories being reported by the few so-called journalists in the Oval Office are delivering freshly packed dog shit to the American people. And if they are loyal Trumpanzees, they gobble it down as if it were unbiased. Although the rest of the world knows better. We know that Donald Trump wants to obfuscate Greenland while walking all over their sovereignty and the strength that comes from Denmark, one of our strongest allies since the end of World War II. No one in either Greenland nor the Danish parliament wanted Vice President Vance to be in the Arctic region. No one wanted his belligerence on full display for the rest of the world to see. J.D. Vance has pushed Greenland to the same position that Czechoslovakia was back in 1938 by demanding that Greenland surrender sovereignty in exchange for promises of protection is a mere facade for the real reason, which is that the Trump-Z administration wants access to the highly valuable resources buried underground in Greenland. Trump used exactly the same tactics when attempting to gain access to natural resources from President Zelensky in Ukraine in February. Wherever you are on planet Earth, Donald Trump does not care about you, your family, or your story. All he cares about is whether you intend to buy his worthless coins, the Bibles with his likeness in them, or any of the other delusional items that he is hawking these days. Folks, that's the news in an hour. This is a presentation of the Pennsylvania Equality Project and PEP Radio. We are all in this together. We all want to survive until the elections in 2028, assuming they are still going to happen. Continue to resist. Download the Live 365 app so you can take PEP Radio with you wherever you go and keep informed. Until next time, folks, take care.